I've noticed that the timer completely changes how people play. The lower the clock gets, the worse the decisions become. In today's video, that's exactly what we're targeting. How the clock affects our decision making, how it should affect our decision making, and how it shouldn't. All right, in game one, we're going to be focusing on how the clock affects my decision making and how being up or down on the scoreboard affects my decision making. So, effectively, where we are in general, just being aware of in-game stuff like the time, the score. Like right now, it's 0-1. So the main point I'm going to get across to this game one here is how it affects you in a negative way. Pretty much the not to do's. We're going to focus on the mistakes that I'm currently making. So I'm not going to really try to, fix it very much. I'll just point out what I'm doing wrong. And obviously, we're already down one, which is not terrible, obviously. But when you're down a goal, you want to be more aggressive so you can get that goal back. Because obviously, if it stays as is right now, the game's lost. If it just stays as is and nothing changes, we just lose the game. So we want to be playing aggressive, a little bit pushed up more. Our positioning is going to reflect that aggression. Already down two, so now we're gonna have to play very, very aggressive, almost ball chasing a little bit to get those goals back because we have to compensate for being down two. So pretty much what is happening right now is they have a really good offensive pressure at 0-2, which is pretty much the worst case scenario we could possibly have had. Great demo from our teammate. Yeah, that does actually also remind me of that demos do definitely change depending on time. Like if you're up 6 points, you don't want to just go for demos 25 times and then just get scored on because you overcommitted. They're doing a great job at starving us, which is another thing that you want to do when you're in the lead, I would say. Unfortunate. If I took my time a little bit more, we could have scored, but we still do since they double committed. Great positioning from our teammate. This is exactly what I'm talking about. How he's playing a little bit more aggressive because we're on like a lower score. The time's working against you, so you have to fight it pretty much. Be the biggest analogy I can give you. Should honestly play a little bit rushed here, but we're actually play passive. Let's see what happens, just to show you guys like what I mean by like you have to play with the clock. Like right here, we're just gonna take it slow. We're not gonna play much. We're gonna just take it slow, take it down, maybe get an outplay, but we just lost 10-15 seconds that could be those 10-15 seconds we needed at the very end of the game to get that last goal. Like now we're down another 2 goals with 2 minutes on the clock. We really need to like be pushing for these goals, or else we're just gonna lose. I'm just going to show you what happens if you don't really push for these goals. Obviously, there's still a chance you're going to win, but it's going to be significantly lower compared to if you really, really pushed for those goals. Teammate goes for an instant 0 boost. He's definitely trying to look for these goals, but I'm just going to not. I'm just going to sit here. It might be toxic and we might lose farm it, but I just want to show you guys what happens when you don't follow what the clock says. Like you could be playing everything else perfectly, and you don't follow what the clock says, then now they're gonna lose. It's that simple. We're gonna play far from our teammate, even though the clock says we need to go here. We're just not. We're gonna play the saves, play the defense, play for stalling time. We're effectively playing for their team right now. You haven't noticed, like, look, we're just giving them the ball. Realistically, if we were up, that's a great time to like just stall those few seconds we need. Look for this reset, it's fine, teammates there. Look, see, we're just stalling even more time. But stalling time doesn't do much, especially when, the clock's against you. We do get a free goal off of it. That's just purely because they overcommitted. I'm not saying you can't win when you're playing like this. I'm just saying you're effectively working against yourself when you play away from what the clock says. At 50 seconds on the clock right now, 2-3, we should be playing hyper aggressive to get that last goal, or at least, somewhat aggressive to force some sort of play or outplay. But we're just gonna force. We're gonna wait for our teammate here, get a good 50, play the shot teammate has. We're just gonna wait, honestly. Just stall this time. Play it slow. We're just playing for their team. This is the not to do section, so don't do this stuff. Like if you're down like 3 goals or something and there's 30 seconds on the clock, you shouldn't be playing these like fake chows in their corner. You shouldn't be playing these, this fake ball here and then go for like a low shot or something. This stalling time. I mean, that worked out great, but better example there would be instead of like going for the shot, you just go for that corner boost and you just starve them. But, it's 3-3. It definitely is potential to work, but overall, you're just working against yourself. teammate. Let's try. Look, our teammate's now committing there. And since we're a 3-3 right now, it's a tied game, pretty neutral, pretty much exactly how the game starts. It's exactly where we are in OT. The only thing with OT that I would mention is, like, you know, it's different from just being in a normal game. There is a consequence if you get scored on, so you want to be playing a slight bit passive compared to, like, if you were in that, like, neutral zone, where when it's like, you know, nobody has a goal, there's nobody, the clock's like relatively high, anything can happen. Should have looked for a bump there, but it still gets a scored. That personally should not have went in, but see, I'm taking my time here on the ball. We get a good flick over him, and we're playing quality over quantity when it comes to like these OT scenarios, or when you're in that neutral zone. We didn't really get to talk about when we were up, but hopefully in game 2, when I really focus on those, you know, fixing the times and, you know, challenging when I should and playing aggressive when you should, we'll hopefully get to see, you know, how to play when we're in the lead. So let's get into game number 2 and fix what we were doing wrong in that game. All right, in game number 2, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be fixing what our mistakes were in that first game. Make sure we play well, make sure we play with the clock and not against it, you know. We're not trying to fight 2 enemies at once here. All right, so we're just going to... Right now, it's the neutral zone 0-0, 4 minutes on the clock. There's not much we can talk about when it comes to what to do on the clock. I would definitely say not to play overly aggressive or overly passive in the beginning, because then it's going to like give your teammate the wrong idea, and then it spirals down, because when you're in that stuck zone of when you play too passive, then you don't get goals. When you play too aggressive, you overcommit. Now that we're up a goal, we're going to be playing slightly passive. Not too passive. We're not going to be like, you know, faking every ball and then playing our time. And then, you know, just going to bring this down, you know, play our time up the wall here. Hit this mid to our teammate maybe. Does go towards our net there, but that's just mechanical. We're going to go for a bump maybe, you know, nothing crazy. You don't want to overcommit here. This is the worst point to overcommit, because once you get that 2-goal lead, the opponents will start breaking down. We're already in a lead, so I do get to show you guys like what a lead is played like. Like right now, we're not going to be committing in our corner. Our teammate's playing hyper aggressive, especially for being up a goal. So we're just going to make sure we don't commit with him. Should be fine here. I'm going to need to play that 50 just so that he doesn't get a free touch on the ball, but this guy doesn't do much on it anyways. Teammate bangs it. Yeah, he's playing way quicker than he should be right now. Right now, we are playing in this like mid zone. It's a good spot to be right now. We're gonna play behind our teammate here. Just rotate slow, but like, you know, pretty like average rotates. Nothing out of the ordinary. Gets us back in the play. Gets us back on that ball. Entire point right now is not to commit for something that shouldn't really be committed for. Right there, we had a free shot, so it's fine to go for a shot. Unfortunately, your teammate's caught lacking right there, going for like a little 360, and he does not get around on the ball again. This is exactly in a scenario what we should not be doing, is what our teammate here is doing. He played hyper aggressive 0 boost, got caught pretty much just with his pants down, really awkward right there, and then just ends up getting us scored on. Really nice attempt from our teammate, not really too much of an overcommit because he does get their boost. I'm gonna play behind our teammate here. Even though we're in this neutral zone, we don't want to play too much, just kind of play pretty much good Rocket League right now. Play all those like default rules. Nothing really is affecting our decision making right now. There's no real pressure. We're halfway through the game. Again, anything can happen. Maybe if we're lower in the game, we go play for like OT or something. Right now, nothing to worry about. We're in that neutral zone. Don't play too aggressive. Don't play too passive. See how we're going to be playing a little bit further up than the midline here. Just, you know, since we were playing passive initially, we're going to play a little bit more up. Maybe go for a bump here just because he's caught overcommitted. Teammate might be able to get a goal here. It's not going to be easy though. Playing a little bit too passive there, actually. We're playing way too far back. All right, what we did wrong there is actually we ended up brushing ourselves for no reason. Like, we didn't have to bang that ball. There's no reason to get aggressive. We could have actually just waited for the bounce, if anything. Getting a little bit too aggressive when the 1-1 score there and the clock says otherwise. We do have a minute and 40, so it's going to be emphasizing that we're down 1. We're not going to just be playing a little bit aggressive. We really are going to be playing like hyper aggressive, like going for 50s like that and stuff, even though our teammate's committed. But we do need that goal, because every second that ticks down is a second closer to them just winning for free. So going for a 50 like this is perfect. Now that it's 2-2, we're going to go back to that neutral play style. Nothing much going on, just, you know, default games. Great save from our teammate. I don't know if he can get back to it though. Nah. All right, we're down again at 1.5 minutes, even slightly more aggressive than the first time there. That like 1:40. What I want you to think of it as is the clock is a multiplier to the score. And when you're down a goal, you want to be playing more aggressive. And when you're up a goal, you want to be playing less aggressive, more passive. So since the clock is at 1 minute now, and we're down a goal, we're going to be playing, slightly aggressive. That's like the default. And then you multiply it by the time, saying 1 minute. And it's going to be going very, very aggressive. That's like the entire play right now, is to play that really aggressive play style. Try to get goals, get it over this guy, maybe bump him. No. But yeah, the entire goal right now is to play hyper aggressive. Get those boost grabs, get those demos, try to play that really like, far up, even almost layered with your teammate type of gameplay. If you can get away with it. Obviously, I wouldn't suggest this to somebody who can't play that aggressively. Great positioning from us. We turned immediately back into the play, playing that super aggressive play style here, and it does get us a goal. We get rewarded. Our teammate rushed to 50, ended up still working out as a pass, and we just get a goal off of it. And that works out great because the clock said we needed to play aggressive, so we did, and it gets us a goal. Right now it's neutral. We have 40 seconds on the clock. Just judging off of our teammates' overcommitting tendencies thus far, we're gonna be playing a little bit more passive than at the very, very start of the game, but it's not gonna be too much. Just enough to let our teammate know like he has some room on the ball. I'm not gonna be committing with him. Like right here, our teammate's at 100 boost. There's no point to commit there. We're just gonna stay back. Maybe grab some pads while we wait. Teammate goes for a pass here. It's not gonna do much. If anything, puts us in a bad spot. We shouldn't really just be waiting, but thankfully they miss. Really should not have been just waiting there. We just gave him a free shot. Okay, teammate bumps me. Yeah, it was just a token to how aggressive he is. Bumped me off to just get a touch on the ball. All right, that's down. All right, now we're in OT. So OT, again, like I said the first time, you don't want to play more aggressive in OT. A lot of players will. And a lot of players will mess up because of it. Exactly like that. He went for a touch that was extremely predictable, so I got a free touch around him. Great pass from our teammate. Might be a goal? Yeah. Okay, nice. Almost got a crazy save, but he does not. Yeah, so effectively what they just did wrong there is they immediately, off rip, they just instantly went for that really aggressive playstyle to get that goal done with. They want to rush the game to the end, and I countered it by just playing slow and actually, thinking before we did stuff. So when he hyper like rushed that touch in the corner, we went for a good 50. Our teammate got a good 50 in their corner, and then boom, we got a good shot, and the game ended just like that. Not because we were playing aggressive, because they were playing too aggressive compared to the clock.